Hey, welcome back. I'm going to talk some more about polyvagal theory and stress. Don't run away. We're going to talk about ways to get up the ladder. So last time we talked about our autonomic nervous system. And our autonomic nervous system is the one that regulates breathing, digestion, and heart rate. Things we don't think about, it just handles them. And there are three states for our autonomic nervous system. The bottom one is dorsal vagal, down in the hole, depressed, no energy, sort of hopeless. And the metaphor of a ladder comes from the book, The Polyvagal Theory in Therapy by Deb Dana. I want to be sure to give her credit. So bottom of the ladder, dorsal vagal. Middle of the ladder is the sympathetic nervous system state, and that is fear. It's fight or flight. It is, I call it Superman on high alert. So it is Superman looking for danger and watching for things. So a lot of anxiety, fear, anger, and frenetic energy. So dorsal vagal with no energy. Sympathetic nervous system is really super high energy. And then the top of the ladder is the ventral vagal state, and that's the one we're going for, victory, ventral vagal. And that one is where the ventral vagal state is where our heartbeat is regulated. Everything is working together. We are more open-minded, creative, peaceful, with a general sense of well-being. And last time we talked about all of these, we talked about the emotions that were attached to each one and the feelings in our body, and sort of practiced noticing which state that we were in. Because of COVID-19, a lot of us have moved down a rung or two on the ladder, and it's not unusual for us to feel like we're living in the sympathetic nervous system state, more anxiety, more worry. And for me, that was coming out as more anger, not expressing it exactly, but I could feel it. So last time we talked about what it is and what it looks like. This time we're going to talk about what we can do about it, the practical steps that we can take. Now, this is a menu. It's just things to try. Some of them you may like, some of them you may hate. My suggestion is give it a shot, see if you like it or not. If you do, great. If it helps, that's wonderful. If it doesn't, then don't do that again. It's super simple, nothing that's difficult or is going to harm you in any way. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is breath and meditation, which both of those honestly are mindfulness. One is mindfulness, just paying attention to our breath. And then in meditation, there's lots of different things that we are mindful of, but always in the moment, right? And you can walk mindfully. You can eat mindfully, but we're going to talk specifically about breath right now. So in the workshop that I did, we all breathed. We did some breath work together. This one's called square breath. And so what you do is you breathe up while you bring your arm up for 4. You exhale, bring your arm across for 4. Inhale again, down for 4, and then exhale out for 4. I like to do it with each hand so that I'm even, just because that's what I do. So we're going to do a couple of squares, and I'm going to let you do it with me. Okay, so we're going to let it all out. You can't take a deep breath if you've got air in there, so let it all out, and then breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, what that's doing is it is helping us to really just be here in this moment, focusing on the counting, movement of our arm, and our breath. And that's one of the things that will help us move up the ladder towards the ventral vagal state. When we're in the sympathetic nervous system state, we have shallow breath. It's like we don't take deep breaths. So we can actually influence our bodies to move up the ladder by taking those slow, deep, relaxing breaths. Now, my son has recommended to me an app, and it's called Breathwork. And once you get into the app, it looks like this. and you can see that there's different choices on there. I have started trying it. It keeps track of what you're doing, helps you stay on track. It'll send you reminders. An excellent way to practice and keep doing breath work so that you're not always just trying to do that on your own. Okay, I've got my blog here in front of me so that I don't miss anything. Sound and music. All right, there is some evidence that the sound om, like om during meditation, can move us up the ladder, that resonates with many people. When I did this information as a workshop, I asked the participants to send me a song that helped bring them up to that ventral vagal state. We talked about it and what it felt like. And so I was like, okay, so send me a song and I'll make a playlist of music that brings you up the ladder. And so they sent me their songs and I listened to all of them and I made a list. And what I realized in my teeny tiny experiment is that the choice of music that makes you feel peaceful or brings you up to a ventral vagal state is very individual. Some of those songs I liked very much, and they also helped lift me up. Others just jangled my nerves. They did not help me feel more peaceful or more calm at all. So it was really interesting to see the different kinds of music that resonated with different people. So know that whatever music you pick is fine. On mine, sometimes I would pick something and the feeling that it gave me was, the higher, the peppier, the happy sort of expansive feeling that we have in ventral vagal. But if I stopped to examine the song, like listen to the lyrics or whatever, I was like, and it's like, don't do that. Just go with it. If it has that feeling in your body and it resonates with you, go with it. Don't overthink that one. All right, the other thing on music is there are studies showing that if we singing with other people is even better. We know that singing like in a church choir really helps put everyone's autonomic nervous systems, they like help co-regulate each other while they're singing together. So in my workshop, what I did is we sang rounds of Row, Row, Row Your Boat. I'm making a snap decision here. I'm going to sing it. I did with another group. So I am going to sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat, and you're going to come in because I really like the thought of all these people like watching this video and then sitting by themselves and singing Row, Row, Row Your Boat. I mean, that's got to bring up a couple of rungs on the ladder. So I'm going to sing Row, Row Your Boat. And I'm going to point to you when it's your time to come in. All right, y'all know the round thing. So row, row, row your boat. Row, row, row your boat. Oh, I'm with you now. Dang, I messed it up. Okay, we're going to do it again. And laughter and connection also help bring us up the ventral vagal state. Thank goodness, because I don't have to do a perfect video on this one. Okay, so we're going to do it again. I started with you. I'm going to do it, then I'm just going to point to you. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Do you feel better? I do. So even if you just laughed at me singing, we're both better off. All right, so that's music and sound. And the next one is temperature. I had really not heard this one before. And when I read about temperature, because I was stuck in the sympathetic nervous state and dorsal vagal there for a while. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, but man, I was seriously stuck. And I was cold, like all the time, cold. And I did have a heated, like little throw blanket on my chair where I sit in the living room, and then also on my bed. And what I found out is that not only does warming your body help make you feel warm, it's also heartwarming. It helps us move up the ladder. Warm drinks will do the same thing. So actually warming yourself can help you move up the ladder. All right, the next one is nature. Now, I've never really read anyone who says exactly why human beings resonate in nature, why it makes us feel better, but all kinds of studies show that it does. And I know that there are some people that think nature, like bugs, gross. And it doesn't have to be like a big hike, out in the middle of nowhere. It can just be sitting in the grass, like taking your shoes off and putting your feet in the grass and feeling that kind of grounding energy. For me, one of the things that I did way before I read this is when I moved into my condo, at first it didn't really feel much like home. Whenever I walked in, it felt kind of like a hotel room. And so I started getting plants. And, there's cat ladies that have lots of cats. Well, if you use that as your definition, I'm a plant lady because I got tons of plants. And like right now, I can see I have like a bunch on a table over here in the window. And so one day I finally had a bunch of plants in, and I walked into the condo kind of bracing myself for that feeling when I walked in. And I walked in and I saw the plants, and it was just like, it was a relaxing feeling, shoulders going down, not so much tension in my neck. And that's what we're going for. That is what we're going for. Anything that helps us feel more peaceful and relaxed. So for me, it was houseplants is my way of doing nature. The other thing is art or creative endeavors. And it really doesn't matter what it is. Like if you like to sew, great, sew. If you like knitting, basket weaving, woodworking, whatever it is, if it's your outlet to be creative, wonderful. I read something that said just get a piece of paper and fill it with color. And I didn't want a whole piece of paper, so I just used one of the index cards and that I use for name tags when I get to meet in person with people. And so this is what I did. And you can see that this is not like great art. Doesn't take any talent whatsoever, but it was very calming. And I found the process very peaceful, just deciding on what's the next color and what's the next shape that I'm going to do, because I had each color kind of in doing a different thing on the sheet. So it doesn't really matter what the creative endeavor is, as long as it kind of gets you in the flow, where you get that focused feeling where it helps you be in the moment, actually. Any of those can help you move up the ladder. All right, the next one is movement. Now, I am preaching to the choir for all of you people that exercise regularly and like to run. We know it raises your endorphins and it makes you feel better. But there's research that shows if you are feeling depressed in dorsal vagal, that walking for 30 minutes every day can be more effective than antidepressants. So there's great power in movement. And so when I first started, I hadn't been moving, hadn't been exercising, hadn't been stretching, which always makes me feel better if I do. And so when I read this and I had decided that I was really going to make a change, that I was really kind of tired of being down in the dorsal vagal and the sympathetic. So I started moving. And at first it was very simple. All I did was when I stood up, I stretched up and I went down and touched like the ground, or tried to touch the ground. And then I did that for a while. And then I started to, like, if I picked something up off the ground, I would do it like as a squat and then do it and then do another squat. And then I started adding on, when I went through the doorway, I would do some push-ups on the door frame. And so each time that I added more movement, I felt better. And so right now what I'm doing is there's a yoga book. It's called Richard Hittleman's yoga 28-day exercise plan. And I'm doing it with a friend, and we text each other back and forth and share how we're doing and if we did it that day. And man, if we're talking about, in my own personal experience, which things made me feel a lot better, stretching out my body makes me feel so much better. And in this particular book, it's one that I did with my mom. My mom and I, when I was in high school, we would do this series together, this 28-day plan when I was young. And so I also have warm, fuzzy memories around doing the exercises. So I get a lot of bang for my buck in the time that I spend doing the daily exercise plan in that particular book. Okay, the next one is smells. All right, now we know that, smells can evoke memory, anything that, a smell like a certain dish cooking can bring back a memory. But we also know that essential oils can have a huge effect on our feeling and our emotions. So I have some essential oils here, and I have them like turned away from me. So I don't know what they are. I mean, I know what they are because I picked them out, but the thing to try is like you can get a book that tells you, like, or just look up online, like if you want to be more peaceful, what does it suggest? Ling Lang was the big one. I don't have it, but that was one of the ones that was suggested. I have a huge collection of oils. I like to diffuse them. I like to smell them. I like to put them on. And so what I wanted to do was an experiment to see which ones really helped me move up to the ventral vagal state, which ones gave me that feeling of my shoulders relaxing. So I thought we'd just do it and see. So I know what that one is. I'm going to just take one off, and I'm pretty sure that's lavender. But what it is doesn't really matter. What you want to focus on is, how do you feel when you smell it? Does it make you feel more relaxed? Does it make you feel more calm? I like lavender. One of my sons really does not. He doesn't like the smell of it at all. So let's try this one. I think this one's frankincense. Yes, it is frankincense. Now this one doesn't do it for me. I actually like something called sacred frankincense better. Frankincense is okay. It's kind of an earthy smell, but it doesn't give me that relaxed feeling. Now this one's peppermint. It is supposed to be energizing. And I think for me, it actually is. It makes you feel like a little peppier, and you can blend them. So if I wanted like my more relaxed with a little bit of oomph in it, I can put lavender and peppermint together. Don't actually remember what this one is. Patchouli. Yes. I think of it as in the Ling Lang family. No, I don't feel any different when I smell that one. See, I love this. And this is what you can do too. Just try it, because your reactions to things will be different than my reaction. I mean, not just like music, each one of us has a different feeling around pieces of music. Same with the essential oils. Now this one's lemon. Also an energizing, not as energizing to me as peppermint, but still, like, I love those together. Like, I might put those three together: peppermint, lavender, and lemon. All right, now this one I know is my teeny tiny bottle of rose, because rose is so expensive. It is the oil with the highest vibration level. And this one makes me feel very, very peaceful. I love rose. It's kind of strong out of the bottle. I think it smells better once you put it on yourself or something and then do it. So smells. So it could be a fun thing to figure out how to go up the ladder. You could do it with other people. One year I brought out all of my oils and I put them on the table, and I had the little rollerball bottles with the roller on the top of them. And everyone in the family got to make their own blend. And it was really kind of fun to see what other people liked. I think one of my daughter-in-laws picked black pepper and peppermint, and it was a wonderful, wonderful smell. And we had a lot of fun doing it together. So connection, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about. So that was an opportunity for us to connect. Now this, for me and my own quest, really to improve my mental health, because honestly with COVID-19, what I realized, especially after I read this book and did the research on Polyvagal Theory, is that I was missing connection with people. I saw one of my sons and his family that lived near me, and I was working very hard not to expose myself to other people, to, just keep my interaction with other people very low, minimal. I had my groceries, I ordered them online and picked them up. I didn't go see people, didn't have people over, just really didn't do much if I wasn't with them. Well, then my daughter-in-law and my grandchildren went up to see, they went to her mom. And so for a few weeks, I was really alone, and because I didn't talk to them that much. And I realized that that lack of connection was really being detrimental. And so I decided that I was going to try this experiment, because when I try something, I go all in. And I was talking to my sister, and she was telling me how in her head she had circles of friends. So her first circle, her inner circle, is the people that she is geographically close to, that she sees all the time. Like those are people that, her close friends that are geographically close. And then she has her second circle, people that aren't maybe geographically close, or not as close emotionally. And then her outer circle, and then everybody else outside that. So I thought, well, I'm going to do that. So I made my own, and I'm probably not going to hold it up there forever. It does have real names on it. No big surprises though. But I did my orange circle are the people that are near me geographically. And then the next circle are people I talk to all the time and feel close to, but that aren't geographically near me. And then my outer circle, I call acquaintances, but it's really more than acquaintances. It's just people that I don't maybe feel as close to, but I don't talk to that often. So what I realized is in my inner circle, really I was close because I'd listed everyone who was geographically close to me. And some of them were people I have just met or that I have a new and developing relationship with. So this little circle right here are the people that I am close to and that I talk to a lot. And then everyone else down here are people that I'm developing. Now, when I first wrote this out, I thought, well, of course, my sons and their families are in my inner circle. And I do love them. And we have positive relationships. I believe I do with my sons and my daughter-in-laws and my grandchildren. But here's the key. For the connection to work as far as helping you up the ladder, the autonomic state ladder, the relationship has to be reciprocal, which means like, one of you may be down some and then the other down some, and some need help than the other. But on the whole, it's balanced. Okay, so reciprocity is the key, which I love saying reciprocity. I just think it's a fun word, reciprocity. And the other thing is that it feels like a nurturing connection. So when I really looked at those, I think for various reasons, I'm in the mom / mother-in-law role. That there wasn't what we'll talk about the next requirement. It wasn't there. And it wasn't those relationships, although positive, and I love hearing them and I love being around them, really are not the type of nurturing reciprocal relationship that helps us up the dorsal, up from dorsal vagal to ventral vagal. And I'm going to skip around a little bit from my blog because I want to go down and talk about psychological safety, because that is one of the real keys in a relationship that's going to help you up the ladder. Is you must feel psychologically safe. And what that means, anyone who knows me knows that that's like my thing, is psychological safety. I talk about it all the time, and I do in the leadership workshops that I give as well. And psychological safety means you feel free. Free. Like, I love that. It feels free to talk to people, to share your opinions, to disagree, to take reasonable risk. All right. So that feeling of freedom, which honestly is not one, I don't believe my children have it with me or my daughter-in-laws, not completely. I mean, we all love each other, but it's just not that open, like I'm just going to tell you everything kind of relationship. Like for me, I don't feel like they really need all the burdens that I have. I'm their mother, and they don't need to worry about that, or their mother-in-law. And I keep some of the things I think to myself because nobody needs to hear them. They're not useful. It's just my own opinion. So there can be positive relationships in your life, which I adore all of these people. I really do. That aren't as helpful taking you up the ladder. Now, I'm going to slip in here at the same time, professional relationships can be in that category as well. If we're a leader and we have people that work for us, we care about them and we can have positive relationships with them, as we should. I mean, that's professional, but they may not be relationships that we find nurturing and reciprocal, right? That doesn't mean they're bad relationships. This is a very specific kind of thing that we're talking about, and things that are going to move us up the autonomic state ladder, okay? All right, so I did my list. I realized that, and then I thought, this is silly because those people in that little tiny circle that are geographically near me that I am close to, I hadn't been communicating with them or seeing them. And so the first thing I did is I started calling with one of them. I went over to her house. She lives out on some land, and we sat out, 6 feet away from each other on a beautiful day talking. So connection and nature. And and it was great. I cannot tell you how much better I felt just after that one interaction. Then the next day, I actually went with another friend and we ate and sat on blankets at a park, also nature. And so we ate and talked to each other 6 feet apart and then went for a walk in the woods. Also, wonderful nature connection, talking to someone that you feel psychological safety with. And then for Mother's Day, I went to a friend and we we painted flower pots. So I went and got the pots and she had paints and we decorated and painted flower pots. And so we were spending time together. We did it in her garage, 6 feet apart. Um, it was connection. And then also the artistic endeavor. It was something creative. Now, she was an art teacher, and so hers looked very nice. Mine was about the same level as my drawing I showed you. But I had fun doing it. I tried different, painting techniques on the different flowers that I put on my pot. So that one thing really made a difference in my sense of well-being, but it was an intentional choice to start connecting more with people. Now, the other thing that it's important to do is with everyone that we're out there in the world interacting with is to meet them where they are. All right. So I think Marshall Goldsmith and the book Triggers talks about the chair is the chair. And I've talked about that. You can read my blogs about it. That people aren't going to change. They're who they are. And we can spend a lot of emotional pennies trying to change them and hoping that there's someone different. And it's kind of a waste of emotional pennies to do that because for the most part, well, we're never going to change anyone. Like I cannot change you or anyone else. The only person that I can change is myself. And people can only change themselves. So it's important to know that the chair is the chair. And it's also important to know that if you know someone who is stuck in the sympathetic nervous system state, like they are seriously freaking out about COVID-19, and it's so easy to do. I mean, oh my gosh, it's so easy to freak out about that and the different dangers and the things that you read and what should you do or not do. I mean, it's easy to get caught in that cycle. But if you know someone who is, it is important to meet them where they are because remember, if they're there, all of the things like open-mindedness, creativity, problem solving, all of those things are biologically unavailable. Oh, wow, biologically unavailable. So if I'm really stuck in the sympathetic nervous state, I am incapable of doing that creative open-mindedness problem-solving thing. All right, so it's important for us to meet them where they are. Just talk to them at the level where they are. All right, let me see what's on the last page here. Oh, be the help. The phrase I love in the Polyvagal Theory and Therapy book is she says that we can be the hand on someone's back. So any of you who've had me in a workshop, like we've been in a workshop with me, know I do not advocate touching people. Like that's in Kathy's world, we don't do that at work. But this is a metaphorical hand on the back so that if we manage to get ourselves up to the ventral vagal state, we can help others. And if we are in a conversation with someone and it is one of those relationships where we have psychological safety, we feel that it's nurturing and reciprocal, then our nervous systems are co-regulating. We are helping each other regulate our nervous system and get up and stay up in the ventral vagal state. So anytime that we reach that state, we can help others by metaphorically putting a hand on the back and helping them. We're not supporting them. We're not dragging them up the ladder. We're not, telling them to get up the ladder. It's support. It's the gentle hand on their back, helping them up the ladder. Now, I'm going to get a little sciencey here. And if you are hanging out mostly in the ventral vagal state, then it's called that you have good vagal tone, right? And so I want to just close with letting you know how you can know whether or not you have good vagal tone or not. And the simplest test is your heart rate. All right. So our heart rate varies according to our emotions. And specifically, if we have good vagal tone, when you breathe in, your heart rate goes faster just by a little bit. And when you breathe out, it goes slower. So if you take your pulse and then, take a breath in, then take a breath out. The heart rate going when you're taking a breath in should be a little bit faster, and the heart rate going out should be a little bit slower. Mine used to do that all the time, and I was reminded of it, the heart rate variability, when I was reading this, and so I checked it, and currently mine is not. So I do not have great vagal tone at the moment. But keep in mind that vagal tone is something that we can work on, just like emotional intelligence. It's something that we can practice and improve with all the steps that I just talked about. So the ladder climber in me says to the ladder climber in you, you are doing a great job. Keep at it and don't give up.